Hello, it's Mike, and I'm back with another episode of the podcast. In this episode, it's actually a live Q&A that I did last night. I do them over at Legion, which is my supplement company. The URL is Legion Athletics, Legion athletics.com/QA if you want to get in on the next one. I do it once a month, and I kind of just... I just take questions live for about an hour and a half from everybody, whatever. And Jeremy sits there and he picks out the questions, and I just answer them, and it's pretty cool. People are really liking it, and I think that you will get some value out of it because the questions that I'm answering, we try to stick with questions that are generally applicable, not just super specific to one person's circumstances. If you like it and you want to get on the next one, again, the URL to sign up so you can get notified is legionathletics.com/QA. And I hope you like it. All right, so let's get started. I'll take the first question here. So the question is, what are some short-term strategies you use for losing weight if you got an event coming up, such as a holiday or whatever, anything you do in the final weeks coming to the event to maximize fat loss? There's not really much you can do beyond, to maximize fat loss. You have your calorie deficit, and you have which is kind of driven by how much food you're eating versus how much energy you're expending through exercise and just physical activity in general. And then you have personally I don't really drop my calorie intake below BMR. So if I wanted to lose fat as quickly as possible, I would drop down to BMR or right around BMR, and then I would, for me personally, I know that my body, I can get away with about 6 hours of exercise a week when I'm cutting. So I kind of max out my exercise, take my calorie intake as low as I can go without causing problems, and then use supplements that help, like caffeine, yohimbine, synephrine, some of the other ingredients. Basically, the ingredients that we put in our fat burner Phoenix, and then we have the fat burner Forge, which is a bit different. It's for fasted training. So I guess that's worth mentioning as well. I would do all my training fasted with supplements that help you burn more fat. In the case of yohimbine, for instance, you have to be fasted for it to work. And then if you want to look as good as possible, and you're trying to you're on a time crunch, cut your carbs to somewhere around, I'd say a half, maybe 1 gram per 2 pounds of body weight, something like that. And not that it's going to help you lose fat faster, but it's going to flush water out of your system a bit. So like your subcutaneous water levels are going to go down. The amount of water that you're holding under your skin is going to go down, and that just makes you look leaner and better. That's really it. And then there's nothing really that you can do with manipulating salt intake and potassium intake and water intake, because it's more likely you're just going to mess that up, and you're just going to end up holding more water than if you would have just not even messed with it. So generally, I just recommend you keep your sodium and potassium levels in the normal range, which for most people, it's, let's say, 2 to 4 grams of sodium a day and 4 to 6 grams of potassium a day. Drink your gallon-ish of water a day. And then just lose as much fat as you can and go lower carb for the week leading up to it to kind of just shed water, and that's about as good as you're going to look for whatever event you have coming up. So let's go on to the next question here. When are the sleep product and the fish oil coming out? So the sleep product, which is the name is Lunar, which I'm happy with. It's surveyed well with everybody, and I like it. That is realistically about 2.5, maybe 3 months away, because I'm actually getting samples of it next week, and I don't think it's gonna be very hard to flavor because there's nothing in there that tastes really bad. So assuming the samples are good, when I place that order, it's gonna take about 8 weeks. So that's one of the it's just one of the downsides. As you know, there's basically, like, what I've learned the hard way is in this game, you need to have a safety buffer of stock, and it takes a lot of money. So you have to have a lot of money just sitting in inventory that you never do anything with, just in case something happens like what happened with us. And that's why we ran out of stock of Whey and Triumph, and that's why we've had trouble staying in stock in general, is because, one, sales spike very randomly for us where we don't do anything. It's not like we turn on some big advertising campaign. It's just we get a lot of word of mouth sales, which is great, but it's very unpredictable in terms of demand. So we've had it like with Triumph with our multivitamin. It was doing its thing, and then out of nowhere, sales double. The daily sales double. We don't even know why. Somebody out there promoted it. We couldn't figure it out. All we know is all of a sudden on Amazon and our website, the number of bottles per week doubled. And so then what that means though is the order that I had placed previously, it was done with calculations of a certain number of bottles per week with some certain growth built in, but I wasn't assuming that it was going to double. Like I try not to be overly optimistic about things, because then it just, I'm going to go into something going, okay, what's a safe, like I know we can grow this, 25% month over month. I don't know if I can grow this 100% month over month, but that's what happened. Anyways, we're getting it all sorted out now, and our manufacturer is doing some stuff to help us, and it's part of the learning process, I guess. But that's when the sleep product is coming out. The fish oil I'm working still on the quotes right now, because what I want to do with it is very, very expensive. So I have to see how can I get the cost down, because in looking at the cost analysis of it, as you know, our products aren't cheap, and we don't want to make cheap products, because cheap products are cheap for a reason. It's because the formulations are crap. I mean, really, or the quality's crap. You get what you pay for is very true with most supplements. There are certain things that I guess that wouldn't be totally true for, like vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D is cheap, and it's not there's no special form of vitamin D. It just is what it is. But with many other products and many other ingredients like protein, and there's just so many different things where even like in pre-workouts, the quality of the amino acids that you're getting, you can get cheap beta-alanine from China and you don't know who knows really what it is, or you can pay more for good beta-alanine that you know is good and it's pure, and so there's, just because a product says it has beta-alanine doesn't mean that it's high quality. So obviously I'm all about quality, but that means that my on average my product costs, my production costs, my cost of goods are probably 4 to 5 times most companies, and I can do that because I don't have to spend nearly as much as they do on advertising and marketing, because I have people like you, because people talk, and when if you do something cool and you do something kind of special, like I think what we're doing with Legion, the word gets around, and that basically allows me to put more money into my production. And I'm also going to be going in the direction of, we're going to take the company where we want to put more and more into creating a better customer experience. So we have some very cool things coming, some very cool upgrades to the website, to how we're going to be offering all of our products. There's going to be free shipping is going to be in the mix. There's going to be gifts. I like putting money into that as opposed to pouring money into expensive advertising campaigns, because I think that doing that and just making our customers as happy as possible is just a better way of going about business. If you've read Tony Hsieh's book Delivering Happiness, you know what I'm talking about. So I want to be the Zappos of the supplement industry. Anyway, the fish oil is a few months out, because I don't know what I want to do. If I can't do it, basically, if I can't make the product that I want to make, I'm just not going to make one, because it's not worth it. Like we've had to do that before. We have to turn down some ideas because, yeah, sure, it would make money, but that's not the point. We want to make all of our products need to meet a certain standard, and if we can't do that for the right price, then we move on to something else. All right, so let's go to the next one here. So when are the new flavors of Whey Plus coming out? I'll take this quickly because a product question. I don't want to just talk about our products, but this one I want to talk about quickly because I'm kind of excited. So I've been going back and forth with the Whey Plus product because it's very hard to get the flavor right. And flavors matter, and we've been working a lot on it. We've already gone through like 3 revisions of the flavor system, and we're happy with where it's at now with this next batch that is actually shipping out from a manufacturer like now. So it'll be back in stock within the next week. But the problem is the leucine that we're adding, leucine tastes really bad. I like the fact that there is additional leucine in each serving, and I like the research. Like I like the marketing angle of it, and I like that there is a very good chance that over time there is an added benefit to that. However, what I don't like is how it impairs the taste. And some people, and we found this by selling thousands and thousands of bottles and getting a lot of feedback, some people are very, very sensitive to leucine. It tastes terrible to them. Me, it doesn't taste so bad to me. I guess I'm kind of used to it, even from like taking it with before fasted training and stuff. But some people are very sensitive to it. And so what we've decided to do is in the next few months, we're going to be rolling out a new Whey Plus. And what we want to do is we want to go in the direction of, we want to create, it's going to, of course, everything's going to be natural, and that's not going to change. Natural flavoring, natural sweetening, no added crap. But we're going to take the leucine out, add some more protein in, because we're not amino spiking. We're not saying those 4 grams of leucine are not counting toward the protein count, even though technically we could do that legally. A lot of companies do. Like, we're trying some different proteins now to just get an idea of what we're up against in the natural protein market, I guess you could say. And one that we really like, they have 12 grams of additional amino acids. It's glutamine and BCAAs added per serving. And when you compare the scooper grams which is a 30-gram scooper, to what they're claiming in terms of protein, plus all this other stuff, plus the additional glutamine, plus the BCAAs, plus the sweetener, plus the flavoring, basically each scoop has about 12 to 13 grams less protein than they're claiming. It's shitty, and a lot of companies, they can get away with it legally. And as you can imagine, this protein that they're using it comes from New Zealand, and it's very expensive. I'm actually looking into it because it tastes really good. But my costs on it are very, very high. So I'm wondering, this is a small company, how are they possibly selling this for $39, 2.2 pounds, unless they're really actually making no money on it? And then when I was looking, I go, well, that's why, because it doesn't have, their 2.2 pounds of protein is probably more like 1 to 1.2 pounds maybe. And then, now that makes sense. That's why they can sell it. So we don't do that. So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to take the leucine out, and then we're going to add protein in. So I believe the macros on the new protein is going to be like maybe 26 grams of protein per scoop, give or take. And we're looking into some 100% grass-fed protein from Ireland, actually. And grass-fed, one of the reasons why you don't see grass-fed in any of our marketing is because it's bullshit, basically. Grass-fed as a marketing claim, if it just says grass-fed this, that, whatever, it just means that the cows ate grass at one point in their life. It means that on the way into their, prison cell, they munched some grass maybe, or someone threw some grass at them. Grass-fed, there you go. So that's why we didn't really do that, because I couldn't confirm. I was actually did have it checked out. Like, are these 100% grass-fed cows, or we don't know? And basically it was like, yeah, we don't know, but they're definitely there's very little chance it's 100% grass-fed. But this protein that we are checking out from Ireland is 100% grass-fed. So basically, if that tastes anything like this other protein, this New Zealand protein, then that's a winner. We want to go in that direction. We want to make a delicious protein that's all natural, great macros, keep it real simple and real clean and real tasty. So that's kind of like our little plan for our whey protein. So let's go to the next question here. The question is, or this is kind of a statement and then probably a question. So he said, BLS focuses exclusively on the 4 to 6 rep range, but if you follow Brad Schoenfeld, I think I'm mispronouncing his name, who I learned from you, his plan cycles between a strength phase like BLS, a metabolic phase like 15 to 20 rep, and a muscle phase 6 to 8 rep. He insisted this rep cycling is how to maximize hypertrophy. Your thoughts? Periodization is great, and actually, if you read my book Beyond Bigger, Leaner, Stronger, it's a periodized program. It's periodized a little bit differently. What Brad's talking about is a linear periodization, where you'd be working in a certain rep range for like 4 weeks, and then you do another rep range maybe for 4 weeks, and then another rep range for 4 weeks, then you deload and start over again. That's one way of doing it. I prefer a different style of periodization, which is kind of comes from the West Side Barbell School of weightlifting, which is a big powerlifting. It's a whole methodology, and it's whatever Louis, what's his name? It's like a West Side Barbell is the probably made powerlifting really what it is today, but. So in your workouts, you start your workouts with some very heavy lifting. This is also called reverse pyramid training, by the way. So like this is what I do personally. So at the beginning of my workouts, I warm up and I do some very heavy 2 to 3 rep stuff. So that's my like very, very heavy deadlifts, squats, and presses basically. And then the middle of my workout, is 4 to 6 rep, like Bigger, Leaner, Stronger type work. And it's the same type of exercise as Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. It's just a bit different in the programming. And then the end of my workout, the last couple sets are higher rep. I go 8 to 10, maybe 10 to 12. I don't do super high rep stuff because I don't really see. I've done it a lot in the past, and I saw the best gains overall from actually just emphasizing the 4 to 6 rep range, which is why that's what I emphasize in BLS. But now that I have really, I mean, I've gotten the most that I'm going to get out of my body naturally. I've found that including that very, very heavy and some higher rep stuff definitely has helped me continue to move up in my weights and improve my physique. So I think that periodization is good, but I think it's better suited to advanced weightlifters, people that have at least a year of good weightlifting under their belt, that have put on their first 20 pounds. These are numbers for guys. Girls will be half that. 20-ish pounds of muscle and built a baseline of strength. So then, when you're doing your heavy stuff, you are strong enough and you understand form well enough to not hurt yourself. I don't think it's really safe for people new to weightlifting trying to do like 2 to 3 rep, where you're working with 90 to 95% of your 1 rep max. Deadlifts, for instance. And then also in my Beyond Bigger, Leaner, Stronger program, there's a week there in the end where you do some 1 rep stuff. Same thing with squats and presses. I don't recommend that for people new to weightlifting. It's also it's just intimidating, and it's, when you're moving that much weight, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get hurt. And then also with the higher rep stuff, higher rep training, I feel, and this is based on research and just based on experience as well, working with a lot of people and then in my own training, is that it's better suited to people that have enough strength to move around some decent weight in those rep ranges. So that's one of the problems when you're new to weightlifting, is you're weak and you try to do a lot of this high rep stuff and you can't really move much weight. So you're not going to cause much, there's not much muscle damage and not much progressive overload when you're weak trying to push, the little baby dumbbells for 20 reps. But, give that a year of like good middle rep range, heavier type of strength building, muscle building training. And then now, what used to be the 20-pound dumbbells, now you're able to rep out 60 or 70-pound dumbbells. Now that starts to matter. So anyways, that's my take on it. And honestly, with these kind of things, I think there's a point of like, it's not even 100% relevant to most guys and girls that just want to be muscular, strong, healthy, look good, feel good. You honestly would not even need to know more than what I lay out in Bigger, Leaner, Stronger and Thinner, Leaner, Stronger, and you could just do that. And if you want to see results of it, just go to muscleforlife.com, my website, and go on successes, and you can just see we have hundreds up there now, and so many of those are that's how people want to look. Guys, they want to add, guys over their first few years, they generally want to put on 30 or 40 pounds of muscle, be lean, and that's it. They're not trying to become hugely massive or hugely strong or trying to max out, trying to squeeze every last ounce out of their physiques. They're not interested in competing. And so for people that are, obviously then you get into drugs and that's a whole nother world. But of course, that's where some of the finer or more complex aspects of training and nutrition come in, is when you really want to be, have your body be operating at 98% of its genetic potential. But that's really, in my experience, not most people. Like, yes, they want to continue training for the rest of once they really get into it, they see it as a lifestyle and they always want to get better. But there's not that much to be gained by trying to get too granular about what you're doing when you're training. You have those basic fundamentals. 20% of all the stuff that you could possibly know is going to give you 80+% of the results anyway, and that's proper diet, proper nutrition, how to manage energy balance, how to balance your macronutrient intake, emphasizing the heavy compound lifting, progressive overload. Yes, the metabolic fatigue is an aspect as well, but anyways, I just, some people, I think they get a little bit too much into quibbling over the minor details when it's not even relevant to them. All right, so let's take the next question here. How often should you do abs? Simple question. I like to do abs 3 times a week. I have actually a routine on Muscle for Life. If you go to Muscle for Life, just spelled out muscleforlife.com, and then you search abs, you'll see it comes up, and it's a very simple routine. It doesn't take very long. It involves some weighted abs and then some unweighted stuff. maybe adds 15 minutes to your workout. And I found that it's very, very helpful in that there's kind of it's just like a thing that people will say that you don't need to train abs if you just do your heavy compounds. And I disagree, unless you have great ab genetics. If you naturally have a bulky, nice set of abs that really stand out, okay, fine, then yeah, it's true, you don't have to. But majority of guys and girls don't. And one of the reasons why is because you have that rectus abdominis, you have those front ab muscles are not that heavily engaged by heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, heavy presses. They are engaged, but not nearly as much as the other core muscles. So what's true is you don't need to do anything else for your core, the rest of your core, if you're also lifting heavy compound weights. Like I don't do really anything for my obliques anymore because I don't want them to get bigger, because the bigger your obliques are, the leaner you have to stay, or it just starts to make you look fat. I mean, you don't want your waist to look wider and wider. So I don't train my obliques directly. I don't train it, and the rest of my core is really just worked out by my heavy compounds. But I do training still for the front, the abs, right? The people normally think of abs, and there are a handful of exercises that you can do that really engage those muscles well. And it's kind of like calves. If you have calves, then fuck you. No, I'm kidding. If you just have them naturally, I naturally have no calves. I had to work so hard just to have anything. But it's like that. If you naturally have calves, then you don't need to train calves. If you don't, if you're like me, like genetically I had zero calves, then you have to train them hard and you have to train them a lot, and just to get them to do anything. So that's the same thing with abs. I know guys and girls that naturally always had great abs. All they had to do is get lean, and that's it. And then I know people have worked with a lot of people that naturally didn't have much in the way of ab development, and it took a good 6 to 8 months of like dedicated ab work to really get them to pop. So he says here in the book, you recommend taking 2 to 3 grams of omega-3 fish oil or omega-3 oils per day. My question is it best to take all 2 to 3 grams at once, or can I take 1/2 with lunch and 1/2 dinner? Either way, that's totally like whatever you want to do. I like to take some after I train, actually, with my post-workout meal. There's a bit of research that shows that omega-3 fatty acids can increase protein synthesis rates. It's a minor thing. It probably doesn't make that big of a difference, but hey, who knows? A lot of these little things may make a difference, like when you add them all up. When you're doing 6 different things that tip the scales a little bit in your favor one way or another over the course of a year, that might be something. So there are a lot of little things, like having some protein before you go to bed. It's not to prevent catabolism. You're not going to break down and lose your muscle when you sleep, but there is research that shows that having additional amino acids, so like let's say you ate dinner at 6 and that was your last meal. You go to bed at, let's say, 11 and you sleep for 8 hours. But there's a point there where your body's going to run out of the amino acids. It's going to have absorbed what you ate, and then it's done, and it can't repair your body any further until it has amino acids again, because those are the raw building blocks, right? So if you have some protein before you go to sleep, then you're just giving your body an additional little infusion of amino acids, and that's why there's some research that has shown it's very simple that eating some protein before you go to bed, it speeds up muscle recovery. Makes sense. So little things like that. Okay, you do that. You take vitamin D, also has been shown to improve protein synthesis rates when combined with a large infusion of amino acids, which is what you get when you eat like whey protein, for instance. So I take some vitamin D and some fish oil in my post-workout meal, and I take the rest later at lunch, actually. So that's that. Is it possible that I'm making strength gains while the size of my muscles remain the same? Yes, absolutely. Muscles can get stronger without getting bigger. That's because there are neuromuscular adaptations that can occur that's the result. So if that's the case and you're not losing fat as well, like because that can, if you're sure, like you're taking measurements and you're not getting bigger but you're getting stronger, you're not eating enough. It's really that simple. If you just increase your daily calorie intake by 100 and give that a week and see what happens. Just eat 25 grams more carbs every day. And if your weight is still and your weight is not changing, obviously if your muscles aren't getting bigger, if your strength is going up and your weight is going up and it just looks like you're not getting bigger in the mirror, don't worry, you're building muscle. If you're gaining 1/2 pound to a pound a week and you're getting stronger every week, you're doing it right. Don't change anything. But if you're getting stronger and your weight is not going up, and you are not seeing any changes or not, whether measured or whatever, and then you just need to eat more. And some people need to eat a lot of food to gain muscle regularly. Like some guys, I know I've said this many times, but it's something that just bears repeating. I've worked with quite a few guys that are like 160, 170 pound guys. My height, 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", so fairly skinny, and they had to finally work their way up to about 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, every day, just to gain anywhere from a half a pound to a pound a week. That's pretty, yeah, that might sound cool, but actually eating that much food every day, I've done it before, it gets old. By the time you can stop, you're actually pretty happy to stop because it's just a lot of food. But that's how some metabolisms and some bodies work, and you don't even need to. You don't need to get into fancy formulations or trying to calculate things. That's the simplest way to do it. Is if you're getting stronger but not gaining weight and not gaining size, eat 100 calories more per day. If that doesn't do anything, increase it by another 25 carbs. You can pretty much cap your protein at 1 gram per pound when you're in a surplus, and you can cap your fat intake at about 0.3, 0.4 grams per pound. And then you can just raise your carbs up as high as you can tolerate it. Most people, once they get upwards of 2 to 2.5 grams per pound, it gets to be a bit much. And so then once you've capped that, if you still have to increase calories, you can then go back and start increasing your fats again. And eventually you will get to a point where you will build muscle and you will steadily gain weight. You just have to find that sweet spot for your body, and that's part of the process. All right, here's the next question. Do you have an estimated date when we can expect a beta for Stacked on iOS? Also, in regards to Stacked, are you making the app compatible with the Apple Watch? Yes, so the beta should start this summer. I'm not sure exactly when. My guess is it's going to be probably end of June, maybe July is when it'll be beta ready. So then I'll gather up a number of people, maybe 50 people, and just get people using it and get feedback and see how it's working. And on the Apple Watch, not initially, no, but we are going to be adding that. It's actually like I should have. I kind of jumped into this app thing with like, okay, here's my idea for the app. This shouldn't be that hard to put together, right? And the designer that I'm working with just didn't work on it like he was supposed to, and now it's all it's a couple months late. Like I really wanted the beta to be done by now, but that was kind of my fault because I in the beginning, like, he does good work and you're gonna see it's a very pretty app and it's very nice, but it's just he's very slow with he just doesn't work enough essentially. So that's kind of my fault. Like he swore that he was gonna work hard on it and get it done, and I kind of took his word, but I should have known better. So in the future, there's that lesson to be learned, and then also looking back at it, there are different sections to this app. So there's a whole section for body and planning your body goals and tracking body progress. There's a section for obviously exercises. There's a section for workouts, building workouts, building workout routines, doing workouts. And then there's a whole section setting workout goals. There's a whole section for reviewing all your progress. It's going to be very customizable, almost like analytics and Google, where it's going to be a dashboard where you're going to be able to track all different kinds of stats, because you are probably interested in like if let's say there were 3 key indicators you wanted to watch to your progress on. Let's say you want to watch your body weight, your body fat. Let's say there's more body weight, body fat, and you want to watch your progression on your big lifts like your squat, deadlift, overhead press, and bench press. And so that's what matters to you. So you'll be able to go into this section of the app and quickly, like, you're going to be able to customize that dashboard. So you're going to be able to see your progress on those things specifically. You're going to be able to graph things in different ways. Yeah, linear, line graphs are fine, but there are other useful ways to graph data that allows you to better analyze things. So I have all these different, these are some cool things built into this app, but what I should have done really is I should have just built the workout section first, exercises and workout, because they have to work together, and gotten that out. Kind of the lean startup kind of minimum viable product approach, and then just gotten that out, which I would already had out by now, and then add the other things that aren't as crucial. But hey, whatever. It's going to get done. It's just taking a little bit longer than I wanted. So, and once it's out and running and everything's good, then we'll look at integrating with Apple and doing the Android version and etc. Did I go to college? And if so, what was my major and how has it helped? If not, explain why and how you came to where you are. No, I didn't go to college. It's kind of funny. So I went to private schools for high school and, well, really for all schooling. And here in Florida, you have to get a certain number of credits to graduate. So you have a certain number of hours that you have to study. I don't remember how many hours it was, like 12, 15 hours per credit or something like that. And I never really took summer breaks or spring breaks. I always just studied. I would go do the summer study programs and spring study programs because I don't know, that's what I like to do. So that's what I did. And by the time I was like 15, turning 16, I had racked up enough credits I could either just graduate, I could get my diploma, or I could go on and do some pre-college stuff and decide, and go in that direction. So I had to decide then, like, what do I want to do? And in talking with my dad, who went to college, he majored in something in business and has had a lot of success in business, and speaking with different business kind of colleagues of his, some of these people had gone to Ivy League schools, and getting opinions like, should I go to college? And it was nice that I got people, like a lot of people, that's the standard thing. Of course you go to college, no, not even a question. But that's not how my dad is, and that's not how the people I spoke with are. And I guess I was also speaking with the right people because I was speaking with entrepreneurs that had built their own companies and made a lot of money. And so they didn't, they don't really care what the normal thing it is. They don't care. That's what people think. That's what you're supposed to do. So what they basically had told me was, what do I want to do? Where do I see myself going in my life? Is there a specific vocation that I want to take up? Do I want to study medicine? Do I want to study law? Do I want to be an engineer? Do I want to, do anything like that? And I didn't think so. I didn't really none of that really. I liked studying, but I didn't feel like I had any passion for any of that. And I didn't really know. I just knew that I was going to end up doing my own thing as an entrepreneur, have my own type of business of some kind. And for that, basically one for one, they told me, then there's no reason to go to college. They said, yeah, you can go major in marketing or something, I guess, but you could also just learn it, just reading the right books and just doing it. You could do that as well. So that's kind of what it boiled down to. Is like either I was going to try to get into an Ivy League school and play that game and try to climb the corporate ladder and kind of have a meal ticket. That's what you have. So if I would have went and got an MBA from some Ivy League school, I would have had a meal ticket to make a couple $100,000 a year doing something. But that just didn't really appeal to me, and I wasn't interested in going off and just partying and kind of wasting time. So instead, what I did is I started working. I worked in one of my dad's companies. I worked in a different company that he was invested in. I've worked in different companies of people that he knew, just to get exposed to different types of work in different industries and find what did I like doing. And along the way, I found writing that I always had liked reading and studying. So it was kind of just like, I wonder if I'd like writing. So my initial interest in writing was fiction, actually, and it's still actually a strong interest of mine. And something that I'm working on. I don't have much time to do it, but hold on, I just want to make sure that this is using the right audio. Sorry, one second. Sorry, one second. I just want to make sure it's using. Yeah, okay, cool, it is. Or? I don't know if it is. I can't check. Anyways, sorry about that. So I found writing, and still actually working on a fiction project, so I don't have much time to give it. But then along the way, I eventually found my way into something that through my dad, building employee training programs for mainly healthcare professionals like dentists and doctors and physical therapists and stuff. So I was writing a lot of how-to kind of technical stuff, and I enjoyed the research aspect of it, and the kind of breaking it all down and making it understandable for people. And so that's kind of like the long story short. I was also, in my early 20s, I did a bit of traveling. My wife's from Germany, so I would go to Europe a lot, and we'd go around and have fun. So there was a bit of I was trying different things, and then I would go and travel and have fun and try different things until I finally found something where I was like, okay, this is worth dedicating myself to. And then eventually that led to me writing Bigger, Leaner, Stronger, and that then led me to writing more books, and Muscle for Life, and Legion, and now I just keep on finding more and more things to get into, basically. So let's see. Next question. When guys come in the gym or when guys in the gym come up to you and start telling you stuff that you know is bro science, how do you correct them without making them mad? Or is that possible? Fortunately, I go early in the morning and it's just a handful of people, and they'll ask me for advice, but they don't really try to tell me. If they do, it's kind of like, hey, I heard that eating carbs after 3 p.m. makes you fat. Is that true? And I'm just like, no. And they're like, okay. So, but in general, God, I mean, it's been so long since I've had that. Honestly, maybe it's just my personality. I'd probably just tell them like, not be confrontational, but just be like, yeah, not really. I mean, and then explain, especially if you know what you're talking about, if it's something like that, and then you could just say, no, eating carbs at any time doesn't make you fat. Overeating makes you fat. This is just a matter of energy balance, and calories in, calories out, macronutrient balance. Where do you get those calories from? End of story. Meal timing doesn't matter. But I'm also not one to argue with people about things like that don't really matter. I mean, I can be pretty argumentative if I care, but if someone is not going to listen to what I say, I don't care. They can believe whatever they want. I don't really try to correct people in the gym. I don't, only if like someone's going to hurt themselves. Like just recently, yesterday, there was a guy deadlifting, and he had maybe 315 on the bar or something, and terrible form. I mean, his back was like this from the bottom, and I did say something. I was just like, hey, just so you know, like you're gonna hurt yourself eventually. Like you don't want to be rounding your spine like that. You want a kind of neutral back. And then he actually was receptive to it. He doesn't know that I'm like he doesn't know I do anything like this for a living. He just was, I guess, receptive to what I had to say. So, I don't know. If someone's bothering you, you can just say like, look, let's just agree to disagree. You can do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. And, I don't like in general when people try to push their opinions and attitudes too much. Like, it's fine to just have discussions and have healthy debate, but some people get really pushy about, they want you to think about things their way. Fuck that. That's fucking stupid. And I don't really have much patience for that personally. Next question, how much will Forge cost, and will it be available on Amazon? Forge is going to be, actually, we're playing with our pricing because, like I said, we're going to be doing more bundles. What we're going to be doing, a lot of people, Legionnaires, I'm going to start using that because I think it's cool, have been asking for bundles, and and with a good reason. Like, hey, I'm already buying the stuff, so can I like buy it in packages and pay less money? And so the answer is yes, that's what we're going to be doing. We're creating some different bundles. We also have more products to do it now. We felt kind of stupid, like if we only had 3 or 4 products to be like one bundle, I guess. That was kind of the quad pack, like you want everything? Okay. But now we have some more products, and we're kind of getting creative in how we can package it to meet people's specific needs so they can save some money and get free shipping. So I believe the price is going to be somewhere around $33 to $35, and it will be discounted based on bundles and such, but that would be like a single bottle price. And it's going to be also like Phoenix is going up a couple dollars in a single bottle, but we're going to be offering discounts because, again, we have to, as we kind of like looking at all the business model, we want to be putting more and more money back into customer experience. So free shipping, free upgrades, free gifts. We have some pretty cool ideas I think you're really going to like. And so we're going to be, playing with things to get it all in the right place. But that's going to be the price, somewhere around $30, give or take, probably a few dollars more. Yes, it's going to be on Amazon. So, you'll be able to get your Prime. But then, like I said, now we're going to start offering free shipping as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. And then we're going to be doing our own subscription service as well, which we're going to, offer obviously a discount to participate in that. So anyways, these are all things that they'll be rolling out over the next few months. It always takes more time than, you want to do anything. when it involves like developers, coding, website, internet stuff, it always is slow. So next question, what's your favorite app to track macros? Also, do you measure your meats or grains raw or cooked? Good questions. I get asked both of those fairly frequently. So my favorite app for tracking would be MyFitnessPal, although there probably are better. MyFitnessPal is very bloated, and this is a whole section of Stacked. Like the first whole phase of Stacked is just going to be for weightlifting, and then we're going to add in some cardio stuff, and then we're going to add in a whole diet thing, and that's going to be a big project, a big undertaking. But I have just as many complaints about diet tracking apps as I do workout tracking apps. Well, maybe not just as many, because at least the diet ones are useful, but they're very cluttered and I think not very intuitive. But MyFitnessPal works, and there probably are some other ones that are out there that are simpler, especially if you're just tracking macros. It's really not that complicated. However, MyFitnessPal, you can set custom macros on their website and just stick with it. And it's pretty simple. I like to weigh everything. Generally, I like to weigh raw, because I'm making one meal at a time these days, at least. Like I do a lot of one pot stuff these days. But if I were meal prepping, like if I was making a bunch of food, then some people like to measure cooked, because if you're gonna make a big vat of rice, for instance, it's a bit easier just on the spot to know, okay, 1 cup of cooked rice, bam, done, as opposed to, because 1 cup of cooked rice turns into, 1 cup of raw rice turns into a lot of rice. That's a ton of rice, right? So if you're going to be weighing your rice raw and then cooking it, then when it comes time to eat it, you're going to have to remember, like, oh, wait a minute, like, okay, so this was 3 cups raw. It made that much rice, or however much. So I gotta portion that out now. That's a bit annoying. So if you're doing meal prep, big amounts of food, I recommend that you weigh your individual meals cooked. But if you are doing just, you're gonna cook up some meat, you're gonna cook up some vegetables, and cook up some rice, one meal, then I like to weigh raw, because it's just easier, more accurate, because the weights don't fluctuate with moisture and such. Next question: how do you feel about the Hodge Twins? Would you reach out to them at all, or consider having them on your podcast? I don't really know much about them, to be honest. I've just heard about it. Of course, I've seen some of their videos. I don't know really. I don't know if they're just there to be entertaining, or if they're actually like offering valuable information, to be honest. I'm sure there's some value in their channel, right? I mean, they have a lot of followers. But in terms of having them on the podcast, maybe if there's something, I try to keep the podcast, like my goal with the podcast is really just to be very educational. I'm not a big fan of podcasts in general, because I find that there's just too much babble, and it's like an hour long, and I feel like I didn't even get anything out of that. Like I maybe, listened to someone make some funny jokes and was like, I guess that person's interesting, or good for that person, and they made a bunch of money. Okay, cool. But I didn't take anything away. Like, what am I going to do with that? Like, the only podcasts I like are podcasts where I come away with at least a couple ideas, different ways of thinking of things, or things I can do. Like, and that's just kind of how I am. So with my podcast, that's why I try to just keep it pretty educational. Like even with the Q&A type stuff, like I want to keep it practical. I'm not really interested in talking about myself, talking about my life, talking about my story. Of course, people need to know some of that to even know why they should care what I have to say. But really, I try to just let my information speak for itself and just be practical. So every podcast, you can walk away with, let's say, 3, like, you learn 3 new things that are actually relevant to your life. And, if you're wanting to get fit, that matters now. Like, good. So you have 3 new tools. You just learned about reverse dieting. You just learned about, stubborn fat, and you just learned about how to lose weight quickly, like we were talking about earlier, right? So if you have to lose as much weight, you have to look as good as possible in 2 weeks. Those are useful things. I'd have to check them out further to know if it really would make any sense. Next question: have you heard of the vegan raw till 4 diet? Fruits until 4, and then cooked potatoes, rice, etc. after 4. If so, what are your thoughts? That sounds dumb. Like, it sounds like a good way to just to trick people into like eating their fruits and vegetables. So if that's what it takes for you, I guess then you could do that, or you could just make a meal plan or eat like if you eat 2 or 3 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, you're good. And you should be doing that. Like, there's no question, research shows that people that do that eat more fruits and vegetables than the average person, and that's where the government bases their recommendations on. I don't remember their exact recommendations. I want to say it's like 3-ish servings of both fruit and vegetables a day. You're going to live longer, and there's a much lower chance that you're going to, or at least a significantly lower chance that you're going to get various diseases and die. So, do that. Does that mean that you need to follow some kind of trendy till whatever diet? I don't think so. But if you like it, then do it. And that's really the kind of the story of a lot of diets: keto, just low carb, vegan, vegetarian, intermittent fasting, just traditional dieting. If you like it, do it. But the real, health benefits that you're going to get. And this is going to be an article. I'm going to be writing an article. It's going to be long on just the whole subject of healthy diets, because there's just so much misinformation out there about there is no ultimate diet for humans. The human species, and I'll be talking about this in the post, and you just look, even going back thousands of years, we've survived in all kinds of different diets, and our bodies can adapt very well. But the goal isn't to just survive; the goal is to thrive. And for that, there's not one diet that you're going to thrive on, and everything else is bad. However, there are some good guidelines that are going to help you find or help you create a diet that you can thrive on. So, and those guidelines kind of preclude certain types of diets and certain types of food choices. Like, for instance, if your diet contains a lot of fried food, bad idea. Eat some fried food now and then. Who cares? It's not going to kill you. But if you're eating a bunch of fried food, or something obvious like that, that's bad. You are impairing your health, and it's going to catch up with you one day. However, if you're just eating a sensible diet, the majority of your calories are coming from relatively unprocessed foods, high nutrition value foods, whole grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, seeds. There are so many different foods that you can eat. High quality proteins. Majority of your calories coming from that, and then you're getting some, spending some calories on junk every day. Who cares? The majority of the benefits, though, when we look at the bigger picture, that's one aspect of being healthy. Much more important, though, and I'm going to be talking about this in this article, and there's research to back this up, is exercise. Regular exercise has even been shown to counteract nutrient deficiencies, poor dieting, essentially. Not that you can just get away with whatever you want eating as long as you exercise, but exercise is the key to health. If you do not exercise your body regularly, I don't care how you eat, your health is going to decline much more rapidly than somebody who exercises regularly, especially somebody who does some resistance training as well. And especially as you get older, when your body tends to lose more and more muscle, sarcopenia, which is the more muscle, the less lean mass you have, the higher chance that you're going to get some sort of disease and die as you get older. And that sounds morbid and whatever, it's true. So preserving muscle mass and preserving strength helps preserve the immune system. It preserves your body. It preserves your ability to move and stay healthy. So if you're exercising regularly, you're not smoking, you're not drinking alcohol, right? You're not an alcoholic. You can have some now and then, of course, but on that point of alcohol, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of the normal thing with alcohol is that moderate intake is healthy for you. And Jeremy and I were talking about this. He had listened to a podcast with, I believe it was the head researcher from Life Extension, which if you're not familiar with Life Extension, huge $1 billion+ company that they sell products, which I like a lot of their products. They're high quality products. They're more for medical community type products, not really for people that work out necessarily. I mean, you can buy them, but they make their products for doctors really. And then they produce magazines. They do a lot of research, but they have a board of I don't even know 100 doctors and PhDs. And so this guy was the lead researcher, just a genius basically. Some of the stuff he's saying, you're like, what did you even just say? I don't even know what you just said. However, he was talking about alcohol, right? He's basically saying that he's looked into it, he's done a lot of research on alcohol, and he has not found any research that in his mind justifies the general belief that regular alcohol intake is good for you. He said that a lot of the research that is used to support such claims is either misconstrued, poorly designed, poorly executed, or mistaking correlation as causation. And and this guy, he's not just speaking from he's read some abstracts. This is a dude who has studied thousands of scientific papers, really somebody in another league in what he understands and in the physiology of the body and both the breadth and the depth of his understanding. I was like, whoa, this guy is next level. But basically, long story short, as he was saying, look, you want to know, he said, alcohol is a poison. Your body can either deal with it well or it can't. He doesn't believe that there's any good evidence to support that it's healthy for you. So if you have to drink it, okay. But if you want to know if it's going to cause a problem, don't drink any alcohol for 2 months. and then introduce it in your diet. And obviously you're not going to get trash, but start drinking it, in the way that you normally would, moderately for health reasons, and see how you feel. If you feel worse, you should stop drinking it. Your body cannot deal with it well. It is not going to benefit your health. End of story. If you feel all right, it doesn't mean that it's actually benefiting your health. It just means that your body's able to detox it well. So I know it's kind of like a random, tangent, but anyways, my point is, part of being healthy is not being an alcoholic. That's very, very unhealthy, no question. Alcoholic, be like, if you're drinking alcohol every day, especially a significant amount of alcohol every day, it's bad for your health. And not smoking. Smoking is terrible for your health. One of the worst habits you can, being sedentary and smoking, probably the two worst habits that are going to guarantee that you're going to have health issues one day. So coming all back around to the diet point, my point is, yes, you should, you can do fine on all kinds of diets, but don't think that you can get around exercising and not smoking and not drinking a bunch of alcohol. Those are the real pillars of health. And then when you add diet into that, then it's the whole picture. Of course, if you are doing those things, exercising regularly, not drinking alcohol and not smoking, but if your diet is terrible, of course you're going to have problems. But you can get away with quite a bit more when you exercise. I'll move on. That was a long one. All right, so next question. On the point of eating a lot of food, carbs, and trying to get bigger, this is where I'm at, and I completely agree on eating so much gets old. Would you say getting or making your own mass gainer shake would come in handy? Thoughts on mass gainers when getting tired of eating so much? This is a good one. I'm glad Jeremy picked this because there are a lot of guys out there in the same position, and even actually some girls that I've spoken with that are just naturally very lean, and they want to build some muscle and strength, and they have trouble. So the long story short is there's also there's a fiber issue too. When you have to eat 4,000 calories a day, you really don't want to be having 100 grams of fiber. You're just going to have, your stomach's going to be upset. You're going to be gassy, bloaty. You're just going to not feel good. You want to kind of keep your fiber. What's the general recommendation? I think for a 2,000 calorie diet, it comes out to like 30 grams a day, 40 grams a day, something like that. So in that case, how do you eat a bunch of calories without getting a bunch of fiber and without just feeling like you're literally stuffing your face all day? So one is, of course, sticking to calorie-dense foods. In terms of carbs, that's stuff like whole grain pasta, super calorie-dense. Certain fruits are actually like dried fruits, like raisins are extremely calorie-dense. Even grains, brown rice or white rice, pretty calorie-dense and easy to eat. I like seeds like quinoa, pretty calorie-dense. What you don't want to be doing is you do want to be having your vegetables and your fruit, but you really want to just be eating enough of that, a few servings a day, maybe 4 or 5 total of each, because if you're eating too much fruit or vegetables, when you're bulking, you need a lot of calories, it actually becomes a problem because you're full, but you're not getting much satiety or you're getting too much satiety from your food. It's the opposite of cutting. So, a lot of people actually, what guys will do is they'll add in fruit juice. If you don't want a bunch of added sugar, which I understand, I personally, I'm not afraid of sugar. I know sugar is not bad per se, but there is a point where if you're having 100 grams of sucrose a day, that's not good for you. 100 grams of natural sugars, like in fruit and other things, that's fine. But I'm talking about 100 grams of table sugar a day is probably not good for you. So fruit juice, though, you have the natural sugars. You can buy fruit juice that has no added sugar, or you can just juice your own. Some people also what they do is they'll juice like some fruit and put vegetables in there to get their vegetables. And so you have like a nice, you can make, and then you can put oil in there as well. So you can make like a nice high calorie, that's kind of like a weight gainer, right? You can put protein powder. So high calorie, whatever you like. If you like, something that's really, really good is coconut meat. If you buy coconuts and cut them open and take the meat out, I'll tell you a funny story. So my father-in-law introduced me to this, making these coconut drinks. I'd come over sometimes when he travels around a lot, but when he was in town, he'd make these coconut drinks, and they were so good. And I was like, oh my God. So you take the meat of a coconut in the blender with the coconut water, blend it up with ice, and it was delicious. Maybe a little bit of vanilla extract as well. And I was like, holy shit, this is good. And so I started making them myself at home. And I would do 2 coconuts, scrape all the meat out, with the water and the milk and the coconut and the ice and the vanilla. And after a few days of doing it, I was like, I drink that shit and I'm not hungry for like 6 hours. That's probably not a good sign. I wonder if what's the calories? Like, it's just coconut meat. How bad is it? It's fucking 150 grams of fat per coconut. One like medium sized coconut meat was 100. I was drinking 300 grams of fat every day. So, and I was wondering, I was like, why am I getting, like, I'm gaining fat quickly right now. What the fuck is going on? So it's super delicious though. So if you keep that in mind, you could do 30 grams of fat from coconut meat, and you could do some banana, you could do some orange juice in there, you could do some vegetables, some green vegetables, some kale, some stuff that, spinach, and blend it all up. And you can make like an easy, put some protein powder, 1,000 calorie drink that, it's going to fill you up for a bit, but it's liquid. And, or you can just drink straight juice. Like, I know guys, and I understand, where like, they're eating a ton of nutritious food and they just go, I need another 100 carbs or 50 carbs for the day, and I simply cannot bring myself to eat any more food. I'm just going to drink 2-3 cups of orange juice and be done with it. Totally understand. There's nothing wrong with that. And then there's just like dealing with it, just getting used to eating a lot. I know, like, I haven't bulked in a while because I don't really feel a need to, but the last time I was bulking, that's how I felt. By the end of it, I mean, I was ending my days with, is my camera going to refocus here? Camera? Yeah, there we go. I was ending my days with like a massive bowl of spaghetti with meat sauce, and I was just like, I didn't want to eat anymore. I was so happy to cut and just be able to, I ended at about 4,000 calories a day, and I started cutting at like 3,000 calories a day, just cut 1,000 calories out, and it felt so much better right away. So I hope that helps with, getting more food in. What body fat percentage test method does BLS refer to when cutting down to the recommended 10 to 12% to start bulking up again? I'm going to link an article on this. I'll link it, I guess, probably when we post this to YouTube. If you go on muscleforlife.com and search for percentage, I think that should come up, or search for body fat, 2 words, and you'll see. I like to use a caliper. It's a 1-point test, which ironically I've found is actually more accurate. I've tried multiple multi-point testing methods. Impedance would be it. Those machines can be very inaccurate. Depends on when you ate, depends on when you worked out, depends on hydration. Where you're holding handles, or anything that's passing electrical current through you is very likely to just be wrong. So you can forget about scales and the things that you hold in the gym. And then, of course, there's stuff like DEXA, super accurate. DEXA is an X-ray scan, so that if you have access to a DEXA machine, then you're going to know with 100% accuracy really where you're at. Hydrostatic testing is very accurate. bod pod can be accurate, although I've heard from people that get really weird readings from bod pods, like way wrong. Like, by the picture, that guy is clearly 10 or 11%, but the bod pod reads at 20%. No, impossible. Like, if it read maybe 13%, okay, maybe, who knows, but, not double. So that's the body fat point. So the question, how long is it safe to be in a calorie deficit for? Is it still till you get your target body fat percentage? Generally speaking, I don't like to go much below my BMR on intake. That's really when I stop, and that's when I recommend people stop. If you go on Muscle for Life and search for not losing weight, 3 words, not losing weight, and you'll see an article I wrote that kind of lays this out for you on how you juggle moving more and eating less to get as lean as you can before you have to stop, and you have to then reverse diet, which if you go on Muscle for Life and you search for reverse diet, 2 words, you'll find an article on that as well. And then you speed your metabolism back up, and then you can do it again. But you don't want to get into this, you don't want to start eating, 80, 70, 60% of BMR, basal metabolic rate, which is like the base amount of calories your body burns while at rest. Because then you start getting into starvation type stuff where you're just not going to feel good. You're going to start losing more and more muscle. That's one of the big mistakes people make when they try to lose weight, is they get impatient. They just cut their calories drastically, and it messes up body comp, and it just makes you feel terrible. So in terms of how long until that, occurs, it depends. Some metabolisms are very resilient. Some people, they don't really need to reduce calories much, and it's very easy. Some people need to reduce calories more, and it's not so easy. But that is something that that's again a point of learning your body. You have to learn your body. Cool. Okay, let's take the next question here. When do you recommend doing HIIT, high intensity interval training? I lift 5 days a week at night and 4 HIIT sessions a week in the morning. Is this ideal? Yeah, I wouldn't do more than that. I personally can't do more than that, actually. Like, that's where I draw the line. I draw the line when I'm cutting. There's no point to do so much HIIT, if you're not cutting. But if you're cutting, unless you just like it, but if you're cutting, that's where I found that I can't do more. That's the maximum amount of exercise I can do before I just don't feel good. It brings me down, or I just get into a bit of an overtraining type of thing. So 5 weightlifting sessions per week, about an hour each, and then 4 HIIT cardio sessions a week, no more than 30 minutes each, usually closer to 25. And that's it. That's all you need. You're going to burn a lot of energy, and as long as you're on point with your diet. I do like using certain supplements because it speeds up the process. It's not necessary, of course, but my philosophy when it comes to cutting is let's get it over with as quickly as possible without being stupid. Let's get out of the deficit as soon as we can. Let's hit our goal, get out of a deficit, and get back to like having good workouts and eating more food and being happy. So, next question. In 2 months, I went from 104 kilograms to 97 kilograms. That's great. Following your custom meal plan, I haven't been able to keep following the plan because I feel tired, hungry, and with a low sex drive. Should I add more calories? Yeah, that's that. Go search muscleforlife.com, reverse diet, search for that. And that is probably what it is time to do. Again, this is a good example. So 2 months go by, person's in a calorie deficit, they lose a bunch of weight. That's 7 kilograms. That's a lot of weight. And some people's bodies, their metabolism, they just keep on rolling and they keep on going. But I've even found myself at about the 10 to 12 week mark of being in a calorie deficit is just where my body, I can feel it's just like, please, can we have a break, please? And my workouts just aren't that great. And again, it's lower sex drive, it's lower energy. And fortunately, you haven't damaged your metabolism. That's bullshit. It's just slowed down, and your hormone levels are not optimum when you're in a calorie deficit. So you can just reverse diet your calories back up and bring everything back into the range, bring your hormones back up. You're going to feel better. Your workout's going to be better. You get a break from the psychological aspect of dieting. And then you go back into the deficit and do it again. It's really that simple. Next question. Hey Mike, any chance of you creating the super multivitamin that you wanted to initially create, but it was too expensive, or any chance of creating a fish oil product or a probiotic? Never know which to select and trust your word 100%. Thanks, Mike. On the super multivitamin, honestly, no, because I think the initial cost was it was like $40 to $50 a bottle or something, my cost. So what am I supposed to do? Like, even if it's 100% margin, a standard type of retail markup, that's an $80 to $100 multivitamin. I don't know anybody that's really going to pay that. And so it'd just be a disservice, really. Kind of people would be like, $100 multivitamin, what is this? Like, is this real life? But I do have a solution. The solution is some of the molecules that I wanted to include in the multivitamin, like sesamin, and there are a few others. I'm spreading them out into other products. So like the sesamin, I'm looking at putting it in a fish oil, because there's some synergism as well between omega-3 fatty acids and sesamin. So that would be cool and it'd be unique. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that because it's very expensive, but I would like to. I'm looking into it. That's my goal. And there are some other cool ingredients. Berberine is one we wanted in Triumph, but we ran out of space, basically. So what we're going to do, at least tentatively, the plan is to create berberine as a standalone product. We're going to see if we can work in something else cool to make it, more than just berberine. I'm not sure if there's anything else that really makes sense to go into it. But then what we can do is we can sell berberine in combination with some other recovery type things, where you'd be like, let's say this was a recovery stack. So you'd have like protein, whey protein for obvious reasons, recharge for obvious reasons, Triumph, obvious reasons, plus berberine now as a standalone thing. Because berberine is an awesome molecule and has a lot of great benefits. So those are some ideas that we have to kind of I just have these list of molecules where I'm like, I want to do something with these, but how? So that's kind of what we're looking at. Next question. How do you feel about Lane Norton, Matt Ogus's Matt Ogus's fat routines? Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people that have done those routines, And basically, like I like Lane. Have had him on the podcast. I've spoken with him about other things. Whatever, cool guy, nice guy. His program though is super intense. It's not for new weightlifters. It's for advanced weightlifters. It's for, in my opinion, bodybuilders, like people that are really, really serious about their training. And I've spoken with a lot of guys that have tried to run it, and they end up overtrained, and they end up like run down. Like they just, there's no question. It's not just them being a bitch. It's not just them going, oh, these are hard workouts. Like, no, they're not sleeping well anymore. They have no sex drive. Their appetite is getting, going down the tubes. And that's in a calorie surplus. Like, these are guys that know what they're doing. So it's not that you can't run that program fat, but it's not for everybody. And in my experience, chances are it's going to beat the shit out of you. Give it 2 months and you are going to be destroyed. So people that can run it for long periods of time, genetics or other things that I'm not going to talk about, I don't know. So, I don't know. It's just a very, very intense program that is not for everybody. And, if Lane were here, I'm sure he'd agree with that. I think it makes perfect sense. In terms of the layout, I like it, but it's just not for everybody. So how did you go about starting a supplement company? The business process, not reasoning behind starting the company. Well, I mean, I don't know how much I really can go into that question. I don't want to bore everybody with the logistics of how do you start a supplement company. You can imagine, I mean, you have to create your formulations, you have to do a bunch of research, and you have to find and vet manufacturers, and there are a lot of things that you need to keep in mind with manufacturers because even if you don't want to screw customers, manufacturers can screw you. You can think you're getting what you want or what you paid for, and you're not getting it. Like I was saying earlier, you could say, hey, I want to put beta alanine in my pre-workout. I want to put 5 grams. I want to do it right. And then little do you know that beta alanine is garbage, because it was gotten from some disreputable source in China or something. And then there's the marketing side. I mean, honestly, okay, here's the real answer for supplements. If you're thinking about starting a supplement company, my recommendation is don't. I mean, unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into it in the beginning, because that's what it takes, and unless you have a real solid handle on the science and on the research, and you know how to make good products, and unless you have a real platform to be able to sell them and that people are going to listen to you, and unless you have experience building and running a business, and unless you're a very, very good marketer, there's a lot of things that, because I see these companies that come along and they try to blatantly knock off what I'm doing, straight up almost the same formulations, almost copy paste status on my copy that I write. They're trying to just do what I'm doing, period, without even being creative about it. And they're completely failing. They're getting nowhere because this is not an easy industry. Some people, I think they see, especially people that have seen how I've kind of come up, me and my people, all my guys and my team. And it seems like it's so easy, and it seems like it came so easy to us. And that's not really true. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and we are very, very good at what we do. And we work with people behind the scenes that are very good. Some of the biggest internet marketers out there, period, help us personally because they like us, and some we pay, some we don't have to pay. But don't think it's easy money. If you don't get into it because you think it's easy money, because it's not, and you're going to end up losing a lot of money, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I don't know. I'm sorry if that's demotivating, but I just want to be honest about it. Okay, so let's do. Should we do one more, Jeremy? Yeah, I'll just take this last one. Funny. Maybe one more after this last one. All right. So what's the inspiration for the poster on the windowsill? Oh, that's a Bucky Fuller quote. This is something I kind of like. Let's see. That's loud. So it's a quote from Buckminster Fuller. "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." Just a quote of mine a quote of his that I really like. And I actually had this made, I forget, I found a digital artist and they made this just because I wanted it as a cool poster. And, it's just that just resonates with me personally, and something that I think I've kind of exhibited just in my work and what we do at Muscle for Life, and how we've kind of gone about things and really gone out of our way to be helpful and focus on just, being helpful and not asking for tons of money for everything, and just kind of like knowing that if we can really help people, and that they're going to talk, and that's eventually it's going to come back, and we're going to be able to be in business. We have to make money, of course. It's not all about making money, but without money, I can't be here doing this. So, I like that frame of mind where, instead of just sitting there on the sidelines criticizing things that, say what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that, get in there and do something, show that there's another way to do it, instead of just saying, oh, that's all stupid over there, or pointing out what other people are doing that are bad. So that's kind of the story of that. All right, so the last question here. What's the least amount of protein, grams per pound of lean mass, that you can take to prevent muscle loss during a deficit? I wouldn't go lower than 1 gram per pound of lean mass. Personally, though, I wouldn't go lower than 1 gram per pound unless you're very overweight, in which case 1 gram per pound of lean mass is fine. Because research shows that as you get leaner, you need more muscle, you need more protein to preserve the muscle that you have. So when I'm cutting, I'm probably going to start cutting in the next few weeks, just kind of for fun. I mean, I'm already pretty lean. I'm maybe 8%, but whatever. It gives me something to do, I guess, right? Get really lean again, maybe do some pictures or something. I'm going to be eating about 1.2 grams of protein per pound, just because, and it's based on some research, and I've written about it. If you just search for protein on Muscle for Life, you'll find some articles. There's the satiety of it, and there is the muscle preservation effects of it, and there's also like the thermic effect of food. It's just a good macronutrient. You don't have to go crazy with your protein intake, but it's not, as a general rule, I kind of tell people just try not to eat less than 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, or 1 gram per pound of lean mass. But if you go with the 0.8 per pound of body weight, it's just simpler to calculate. But again, I recommend higher. I recommend really actually 1 gram per pound. And if you're lean, if you're a guy around 10, 11, 12%, you want to get real lean, set that to 1.2 grams per pound. If you're a girl around 20%, wanting to go below, same thing. So that's it. All right. That is everything for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the live Q&A. We're going to keep on doing these. Sorry for the last minute, notice on it, but we will, maybe we did send an email yesterday, I guess, but it's good. We had a lot of people come out, and I'm glad to get the questions. We'll be posting this up on YouTube. I think actually it'll make a good podcast as well. If you're just kind of getting here and you missed it, or you missed half of it or whatever, you'll be able to watch it on the Ustream. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube. It's going to be on the podcast. So, thanks, and come next time and bring your questions, whatever it is. Like if it's business questions, marketing questions, nutrition, diet, or, training, whatever. I don't care. I'll answer anything. Personal questions, doesn't matter. So, thanks again. And, I'm excited. We're going to have everything back in stock in the next month or so. And we have new products in the pipeline. Like, we have this joint product. We have sleep product, we have a greens product, we have a fish oil that we're working on, and we have 5-pound protein, some new whey, this whole new style of whey and stuff. So a lot of cool stuff coming. So thanks for being patient. I'm sorry, the out of stock thing is, no one's more annoyed than Jeremy and me, that's for sure. So, but we are, like I said, we do have some things in place now where we should be able to prevent this in the future. And if it does happen, it's not going to be for this long. All right, hope you have a great night, and I'll see you on the email and blog comments and everywhere else. Okay.